Hi, for this video lecture, I'm going to talk about interrupt instructions. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a list of some interrupts, samples of some interrupts, and then I'm going to describe how they work, and then afterwards we're going to choose some of them, copy and paste them in our emulator and see what they do. Okay, so let's continue. Let's look at some interrupts. So here are some interrupts. So the first one is interrupt 21 function call 08. So throughout this lecture, you will see that the function call are placed in AH. So function calls will determine what the interrupt will do, and then different numbers, normally function calls are numbers, different numbers will define what the interrupt will do. So in our first example, you have a function called 08, so your EH will contain 08 interrupt 21. So what it will do is display a keyboard input. So when you press a key, only one key press, it will not display it. Sorry, it will just take in one key pressed and then save it in AL and without displaying it. So that's what it does, nothing else. Okay, next is keyboard input with display. So similar with the first one, it will wait for a keyboard input and save it in AL, but this time it will display whatever you have pressed. So you will see that function call will contain what will define what the interrupt 21 will do, and then once the interrupt 21 is executed, it will already do what it's supposed to do, of course. Okay, the important thing here is you have to define first what is the function call before the interrupt 21. You cannot uh, put interrupt 21 first before the function call. So you will have an error, or you cannot expect the interrupt 21 to do what you wanted to do. That's what will happen, because we really don't know what's the value of AH beforehand. So you have to place first your interrupt function in your AH before you invoke your interrupt 21. Next is display a character. So here you will use 02 as your function call, save it in your AH, and then put the character in DL. This one character only. So in our example, we will be displaying X. That's why you save X in DL. So there are already 3 lines here. Okay, the important thing is your interrupt 21 should be the third line. You can interchange the first line with the second line, but you cannot put interrupt 21 before any of these 2 lines. That's the important thing. The next is display string. So you only can display one character here. Wrong spelling. Character. Here we can display string. So first is you have to define a memory location by using a label. So here our label is DISP underscore string. So this label will be allocated a memory location. So it will have an equivalent number, a memory location, and that memory location now will contain this string hello world inside double quote. So you have to make sure that there is a $sign there, because it's very important when you use interrupt 21 function call 09 to have the $sign, because that will tell your interrupt 21 that this is the last, the D will be the last character that will be displayed. Otherwise, we really don't know what will happen. It will really depend. Sometimes it will display some garbage hello world plus garbage. Sometimes it will not really display anything. your program will just hang. So here there will be three lines of code. So you have move AH09, which can be interchanged with Leia DX this string. So this one will tell 09, oh no, interrupt 21 what to do, which is to display string because this is 09, and then you have to load the effective address in DX, the one that you have defined here. So this string, so that it will display the hello world. Next is input string. So you can input character, you can display one character, but now we can also input string at the same time display what you have inputted. So here the important elements are the four tags or labels, and they should be in this order. The first label is the parameter, the name parameter. Then you have to have this label and byte. So it will tell your assembler that this is where input string will start at this particular memory location with name par, with the label name par. Next is the maximum length. So you have to define the maximum length. How many characters, maximum characters, will you allow the user to input? So 20. And then you have to define actual length. This is where this will contain a number. How many characters? So probably if the user inputted 20, then this will become 20. But we do not know. That's why it's a question mark. So if the user will only input 5, this will be equal to 5. And the fourth but not the least is another tag where the actual characters that were typed or inputted will be saved. So you have 20. Actually I have to make it 21. You will see later on what's the difference if we leave it 20 and 21, because you already have maximum here. It means that you can only have maximum of 20 input. Anyway, so 20 dupe, there will be 20 duplicate of this. So actually I can already explain why it's 21, because you always have to have the $sign as your last character. You have to make sure that the last character will be a $sign. So what is the best way to do that? You define 20 your max length, and then you define your name field as 21, but the last character should be a $sign. Okay, so this is how you will use this particular input string interrupt 21 call. So you move AS 0, this is your function call, and then load effective address name par, this one, and then interrupt 21H. Again, you can interchange these two. Important thing is your interrupt is in the third line. Next is set cursor position. So during my time, when there is very limited, everything is limited, and we only know like 3 programming languages. You have Turbo Pascal, C++, actually 4, C, Turbo Pascal, C++, and assembly language. These are the 4 languages that are being taught in school. Of course, there are already many other languages at the time, but these are the 4 languages that we are taught in school. And then when we program games, or we would like to make our screen beautiful, interrupt 10 is the one that will really help you enhance the beauty of your screen. So basically this one will change the color of your characters, will set where the cursor will be, will set where you want your display will be placed in your screen, etc. So if you are a gamer, you are programming, like most of my friends before are doing some games, programming some games. So they are really expert in using interrupt 10 with different function calls. So for this one, this will just set cursor position so that when you display your string or your character, it will be placed at that particular location in your screen. So here eh is the function call, just like any other interrupt function call. You place it in so 02, and then you define the page number, by default 00, and then this one is the row. DH will contain the row and DL will contain the column. You can change the value here later on. And then of course interrupt 10. And then the last example is a keyboard without display. This is similar to function call 08 of interrupt 21. So with interrupt 21, this is a DOS, or this operating system interrupt, while interrupt 16 is BIOS interrupt. So we will be discussing what is DOS and BIOS later on in some other visual lecture. But for now, what I can say is almost there are almost equivalent interrupts between 16 and 21. So there are some equivalent interrupt 16 like this one, keyboard input. There is also equivalent interrupt 16 for some other things that interrupt 21 can do. Okay, so now let's proceed. Let's take this as example. This one is the more interesting one. So let's take this as our example. I'll copy it and I'll save it in my, oh no, where is it? I close it. So I'll copy and paste it here. So medyo you can fix this. Let's see if this will work even if without fixing. So I'm very old, so I'm going to use this interrupt 20H instead. Run this. Let's see if this spaces here will not be a problem. Oh no. So there's a problem. I have to fix it. Okay. I hope I know what happened. This is what happened. That's why it's not running. I hope this already run. Okay. So here I'm going to input as 20 there. So the program will no longer allow me to input more characters because we've already reached 20 characters. So there. So basically you will be allowed to input characters maximum of 20, and then afterwards it will wait for a enter key before it will end. So basically that's what it does. So let's see. You have to bear with me. I'm going to make it so what I'm going to do is just to make sure that the main field really contain what I have typed. So this one I'm going to display what's inside your name field. This one. Let's see. Yeah, same. Okay, now let's try another one. So as you can see, this one is keep input string and then save it a certain memory location. In this case it's name field, and then we were able to show it that whatever you have pressed are really saved there in the main field by invoking interrupt21 function called 09. But let's see another, let's get another one of our interrupt. Where is it? Let's see cursor, set cursor. So as I've said, this one will, oh, what happened? Oh no. Here. This one. Okay. So let's not use 20 because it's too far. Let's just use 5. You might not be able to see the display anymore. So 5 lang. 5H. So this one will set the cursor where the result will be displayed. This one. So instead of 20 we use only 5. So run. There. So here 5 going down, 5 row, 5 column. This is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's what it does. We're going to change it then. Let's say A. 0A. 0A. Emulate. So it should be in the middle, somewhere in the middle. There. 10. So that's what it does. Okay, so I think that's it for this particular lecture. Thank you for listening.